Alright, it's time for me to do a scene analysis on one of the greatest endings I've ever seen in a film in general. I think this is one of the most unique ways to end a movie of its kind. Alright, this is a given, but if you've never seen Vaalee before, please do, because it's one of the best films of the 90s, one of the best directorial debuts I've ever seen, and it has one of the most innovative and most creative endings I've ever seen in a film in general. So yeah, stop this video right now if you don't want any spoilers. If you want spoilers, or if you know the ending of the movie, watch ahead. All right, let's go. All right, so the ending of this movie is so unique and so creative and so interesting because you get to see the other side's point of view. Usually, when the protagonist defeats the antagonist or, the bad person loses, we usually get the good person's side in terms of their perspective on how the events went. The narrator usually talks about how, this person prevailed, yada, yada, yada. But we never really get to see or hear the bad person's side of things at the end of the movie. Here, we get to hear the antagonist's mindset. And it's all happening from the afterlife. We don't see his body when he's dead. We see the body obviously when he gets killed, but after that, the rest of the film for the next 2 to 3 minutes is pretty much the antagonist, the villain, his viewpoint on what his love was. So pretty much, long story short, there are two Ajits in the film. One is the good guy. He's the lovable, guy next door. He is your go-to romantic hero. The other one is the villain. They are deaf and also mute. They can't express their love. They can't hear anything. But they are insanely and kind of obsessively in love with their sister-in-law, who is brilliantly played by Simran, who plays a very good, terrified, and very paranoid, rightfully so paranoid person in this film. And, all these antics and all these shenanigans happen where the obsessed character is trying to antagonize Simran's character to love him. And obviously it doesn't happen, but by the end of the film, the good guy defeats the bad guy. And yeah, usually in a regular film, the good guy or the good guy's friend or the narrator talks about, this person prevailed, he did that, they did this, evil is defeated, so on and so forth. Here, the antagonist is telling you their side of the story. They're talking about the pain that they had inside of them, that they didn't get to meet the girl first. That was the girl of his dreams, and she was in love with the person that looked exactly like him, but unfortunately for him, the antagonist felt that they only loved the twin brother because they were able to speak and they were able to be communicative in terms of their love. The antagonist felt like they were not able to communicate their love. They were not able to share the love that they had inside. And, obviously they were an antagonist and they were obsessive and they were very, very bad. It's just so interesting to see that we get to hear their perspective because in his mind, he is kind of talking bad about why he was given no voice or no hearing. He's angry about that. And that anger is kind of playing in towards why possibly they were so obsessive. They wanted this one thing in life and they were not able to get it because someone that looked exactly like them got it. And they had all the things that they did not have. It's such an interesting ending because again, usually the antagonist never gets the last say. Whereas here, the antagonist gets the last say. It is so brilliantly shot by S.J. Surya too because it makes you he's going through this graveyard, but the way he shoots it, it's almost like you are in this kind of angelic afterlife graveyard. Even though it's a regular graveyard, just the way he shoots it, it makes it more kind of beamy and kind of aura-y, if that's a word. But yeah, it's just so brilliantly done. And the narration by Ajit as that character is so brilliantly done too because he has so much pain, so much angst, and so much worries about why he couldn't live the life that he wanted to live. And he was obviously jealous of his twin brother. He was jealous of the love that he had with Simran's character. And, there's this sigh, this kind of painful sigh that he has at the end of the scene. And the way that Deva's music kind of pops in at the end of the scene too is just brilliant. It's just a crescendo of this like pain and torture of an antagonist. Because usually, again, you always get to see the good side's point of view. But here we get to see, once in a blue moon, the negative side of things and why they did the things that they did. Obviously, there's no justification as to why he, was a villainous character, but it is very interesting to peep into the mind of this obsessive mind and why they went about, doing the things that they did in order to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. And yeah, just a brilliant performance from Rajat, a brilliant film by S.J. Surya. And I kind of wish that we got more endings like this where we got to see both sides, even both sides of the coin. Because we obviously saw the villain getting defeated and we got to see the villain's point of view. But, usually in Tamil cinema movies and even in world cinema films in general, we only get to see the good side of things. And I think that it's just a brilliant way to kind of like put a stamp on like why the villain was the way that they were. Because it is very interesting. I feel like the mark of a good writer and a good director is when they're able to make the villain kind of more than just one-dimensional. Not just this person is trying to kill this person or is trying to do this to that other person. I feel like a great villain, when they're written and directed well, is when they have multiple layers and multiple shades and just an interesting mindset. Because like the reason why we love characters like Joker or Thanos or some of the Bond villains or some of the villains that we see in like just your regular psycho thrillers or whatever. The reason why those characters are so interesting is because in their minds they're thinking that they're doing the right thing, and the way that they've written and directed these characters, you kind of look at them and you're like, wow, like it's kind of a weird way to think about it, but it's such an interesting layered point of view. And it, when it's not a one-note character, you kind of wish that more films were able to make villains like this. But yeah, again, kind of rambled at the end. But yeah, such a brilliant ending and such a sad thing, because S.J. Surya has so much talent. And when he makes endings like this, I kind of wish that he went back into directing. But apparently, he's going to be directing a movie about a serial killer or like a murder storyline. So possibly in the future, we'll get to see maybe another Vaalee type of film. But until then, we'll have to stay with just this like great ending that he provided early on in his illustrious career.